So exercise number 1 is called walk the plank. There's lots of different variations here. We're just going to cover a couple. You're going to want to instruct your client to first hold on to the white lines of the ActivMotion bar, bring the bar right to their chest, and maybe tip and tilt the bar a little bit to find where the center is. Again, when you're using the bar, keeping the weight in the center perfectly still is not going to be possible. They're always going to feel that weight shifting to give them that feedback in their body's position. From there, the feet are going to come together, and then you're just going to go heel to toe, kind of like we're walking the plank. That's the name of the exercise. Heel to toe, slow and controlled, while trying to stabilize that mass shifting inside the bar. So we would take a few steps forward, and then a few steps back. Now, if you want to increase the intensity of the movement, we can just increase the distance the bar is away from the body, so you can bring it out here and do the movement, or you can bring the bar overhead and do the exercise as well. But the essence is the same. You want to heighten the central nervous system, increase the amount of feedback coming into your body based on what you feel and hear happening inside the bar. The last progression that we'll do here involves tipping and tilting, which is going to further challenge your center of mass. Every step forward, we're just going to want to do a little tip of the bar towards that side. Step forward with my left, tilt that way, step forward with the opposite side, and do it that way, and then we can do the same thing on the way back. Lots of cool progressions that we can create here to challenge balance in the proprioceptive system. Okay, the next exercise we're going to show is a hinge hip extension. This is going to be a little different if you've ever participated in any of our education before. You know we do a lot of hip hinge exercises. This one's going to be different though, and it's really going to challenge trunk stability more, because we're going to take the ActivMotion bar and actually bring it to our belly button and actually make contact with the stomach. And we're going to actually keep the bar connected to the body right there. And what you're going to notice when you come into your hip hinge, into that single leg balance, is any deviation you have in your trunk from side to side, because the bar is connected, you're going to hear the weight shift, right? So it becomes a really, again, pretty cool feedback mechanism. So bar into the body, make contact with the stomach, hinge hip extension, and from here we're going to keep that contact and just move into our hip extension. It actually gets pretty challenging when you're doing that and you're trying to keep that contact. So toe taps and lifts. If you're working with maybe older clients or people who don't have as good of balance abilities, you can have them come into this position and just for a brief second bring that foot off the back of the floor there. Okay, and then we would obviously switch sides to maintain a neutral spine is very important here too. What you'll notice when the weight is shifting, it's pulling you off position, you're really going to be forced, even at a subconscious level, to contract all the muscles that stabilize your spine and pelvis so you don't tip over. Again, start with a lower level of resistance here, probably the 4.5 pound ActivMotion bar. That's a great exercise. Give it a try. Okay, the next exercise is going to be a really functional lateral flexion movement pattern with a step back. So I don't really have a name for this one. I'm sorry, I'm sure there's a name that exists. But this is a really functional movement to really get length and eccentric activation out of the lateral line. The new buzzword in the fitness industry is fascia, right? We have this long series of connective tissue running down the lateral side of our body. This exercise can help really activate, lengthen, and strengthen that whole lateral aspect of the body as a result of the position we're putting the body in and the shifting weight inside the ActivMotion bar. So, bar starts with the chest, feet stay together to begin. What we're going to do is we're going to take one foot, lift, and step back behind the body, make contact with the floor, and then do a little lateral flexion toward that side. And what you can see I'm doing here, I'm going to slow down and talk about this, is my hips are being pushed out that way, right? As I step back, I get length out of that hip and lateral line, while my upper body is moving in this direction, and the weight in the bar is shifting to create that momentum that's forcing me to activate. So it's a great exercise to get length across that lateral line. We bring it back in, and now we're just going to alternate sides, back and forth, and really try to find some good rhythm. When you get more advanced, you can bring the bar over your head, or maybe somewhere halfway in between, to get a little more of a challenge. Obviously, the further away the weight is from the body, the harder it's going to be. But that's a great exercise, and it falls in this proprioceptive little series of exercises here, because the body, most people are typically weakest in their rotating, in their lateral movement patterns. So great exercises for whole body strength, and it'll help coordinate movement efficiently in everything else you do. So that's why it's in this series. Give it a try. Okay, the final exercise in this proprioception series, exercise number 4, is going to be another one where we begin in a staggered stance. And hands go on the white lines. And from this position, I'm going to show you the most regressed version of this exercise. Is we want to actually have the client load their front leg, keep the majority of the body weight on the heel, but about 10% of their body weight resting on that back toe. Now from right here, we are going to hinge forward, keeping a neutral spine, and we're going to incorporate some vision in this exercise. We're going to tip the bar from one side to the other. And we're going to look in the direction that we're tipping and tilting the bar. Now when we include this visual cue into any exercise, it makes it more challenging. Vision is one of our body's main feedback mechanisms we use to determine our position in space. So including it in exercise can be very beneficial when you're talking about proprioceptive and balance training. So let's switch sides and I'll show you a little progression here. So again, number one is tipping and tilting with the look from one side to the other, maintaining a neutral spine, just finding a good rhythm. You can challenge your clients at different speeds, that's great. The hardest variation is obviously if we bring it up into a single leg hip extension and then we balance and we tip and tilt from right here with the looking involved. That's very challenging, so work your way up to that one. That's our fourth and final exercise, this little series for proprioceptive and body awareness training. Give them all a try, all phenomenal exercises to help your clients make progress.